Hello everyone, Transport Enthusiast here, and in this Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 tutorial, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can load in your aircraft or airplane into any one of the periods in a flight. So for example, you can spawn your aircraft into takeoff at the runway, you can spawn your aircraft into the ascent, you can spawn your aircraft into cruising altitude, descent or final approach. So what this does is, instead of having to do the whole flight, you can select a part of the flight which interests you the most or which you want to fly on your current gaming session. So the way you do this is, first of all, you go into your world map. And once this loads up, this will probably take about 2 seconds. Once you get to the world map, the key thing about being able to actually select which part of the flight you spawn into is that you need to set up a flight plan. This is very important because without a flight plan, you won't be able to do this. So once you've selected your aircraft, in my case it's the Airbus A320 in EasyJet livery, and you've selected your flight conditions, so we're going to turn multiplayer off. Then what you want to do is you want to select your airport. So we are going to select from Berlin Tegel to, so we're just going to wait for that to load up there, from Berlin Tegel to Berlin Tempelhof. Now you can decide whichever airport you want, but one thing to bear in mind is, for example, say you choose Tegel Berlin and then Belgrade in Serbia. If you choose to spawn into the final approach, obviously it's going to take slightly longer for the thing to render because it's a completely different area. So the closer you are, the quicker will be for your flight to actually render into whichever position you've chosen. So once you've set up your flight plan and everything else is set, you can just click fly. Now, what is going to happen is, obviously this is going to load us into the runway now. However, once we are loaded in, then we actually have the capability to change which part of the flight our plane is in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause this, and once we are loaded in, I'll be right back with you.
Departure.
Okay, so now we are back in. So now we have loaded into Berlin Tegel. So now what we do is, once you click ready to fly, like so, just there, you have two options. So the first thing you can do is you can take off.
Takeoff runway 26 right EJU 112 tree.
Yeah, so your first option is you can take off and then you can select which part of the flight you want to go to. Or let's say you just want to go straight to land. All you have to do is, if you click this little arrow here, so you just hover over it here, then you're gonna go in. You want to go into this map part here. It says travel to. So when you click on the travel to, you're going to have all these options. You're going to have takeoff, cruise, which is cruising altitude, descent, approach, final, and taxi. So depending on which part of the flight you want to select, all you have to do is you simply select the part you want to do. So let's say we want to do final, and then it will ask you, do you want to travel to final, and you simply click yes. And then what will happen is you're going to get this loading screen, and it will land you onto it. It will load you onto the final approach. Now, bear in mind, you can do this at any time. So say you've just taken off and you don't want to do a 9-hour cruising altitude. So let's say you take off from somewhere in the United States and you want to fly over to Europe. Instead of doing the whole 9-hour transatlantic flight, what you can do is, once you've taken off, reached cruising altitude, you can click that little arrow there, go into travel to, and then select approach, descent, whichever you want, and land into Europe. So this is quite a handy way, basically, just to skip cruising if you don't want to be spending 2 or 3 hours on autopilot just flying, or if you just want to do final approaches, or if you want to practice your landings, that kind of thing. So it's quite a handy time saver, and it's very simple to do. But the very important thing is you need to ensure that you have a flight plan selected, because without a flight plan selected, you will not have this option available to you. So that's the crucial step. Once you've selected a flight plan, when you go to travel to, you will have all those options. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this here. It's going to load us in like so, as you see, and now we're on the final approach, and that's basically it. And then when you click ready to fly, let's say we want to go back to a different part, we can do that as well. All we have to do is, you can go here, you can click taxi, we can skip there. One thing to bear in mind is, once you skip ahead to a consecutive part, so let's say you go to approach, you can no longer select anything that comes before it. So that's one thing to bear in mind. So guys, if you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to give it a like,